Hey y'all, it's Kelly from Dixie Darlins Tumblers here. So today we're starting out with the 16-ounce plump from the Steel Magnolia, and I've sanded the cup with my 60 grit sanding block, and then I spray painted it with Montana Gold Gleaming Pink. I love this bright pink. So I've mixed up about 5 milliliters of Counterculture's medium viscosity, and you can see I put a little additive into the epoxy, and I thought maybe I was just going to go with that for the base, but I wasn't really happy with the coverage, so I ended up going back with Peachy Olive Glitter's Unagi. This is one of my favorite Peachy Olive Glitter opals. I just think it pulls out so many different colors depending on the base. So I do go back and I'm just going to do a layer of Unagi from Peachy Olive Glitters over the epoxy here. And I'm just going to make sure that my epoxy is covered really well with this glitter, just to make sure that it's pretty even here. I'm going to use this as a base and layer some things over it, but I want a pretty good coverage here. So I'm going to apply all my glitter, and then I'm going to take a piece of my parchment paper. After I knock off all the excess here, I'm going to take a piece of my parchment paper and I'm just going to wrap it around the cup. I'm not really going to move it. I'm just going to wrap it right around just to press that glitter down so I don't have any shards kind of sticking up at the top or the bottom of the glitter here. So I get a pretty level coat. And then I'm going to go into my next layer of epoxy, and I've mixed up about 20 milliliters of Counterculture's medium viscosity here. I'm going to apply this coat, and then I'm going to wait about 3 to 6 hours, and then I'm going to go into my second coat. So I do mix up another 20 milliliters of Counterculture's medium viscosity, and I do 2 coats here. And after I applied my glitter, I did let that coat dry for about 4 hours. And then once that last layer of epoxy is on, I'm going to use my torch to pop any bubbles, and then I'll let that coat dry for about 6 to 8 hours because I'm going to sand it before I go into another coat. So I did just want to show you guys, these are the sanding blocks that I use. I usually go with a 60 or a 80, and I just lay the cup flat to start with because I don't want to go too much at a rough edge to kind of knock off too much glitter, but I do go pretty aggressively at the rim here. So I'm just going to knock off any glitter or epoxy that's right around the actual top edge, and then I'm going to start kind of sanding around the edge of the cup. I don't want any sharp edges here, and I'm going to use these cool little rub-on transfers after my next coat. So I want to make sure that it's pretty smooth at this point. So you can kind of see I'm just going around. Sometimes I'll take the edge and I just buff off all the top edges here. And then I'm going to take my 91% rubbing alcohol and I'm just going to rub the cup down after I'm done sanding it. And this is just going to be to get any of my dust off. I just want it really clean before I'm going to go into my next layer of epoxy. So I am going to go into about 25 milliliters now of Counterculture's medium viscosity. I did want to, just because of the sanding, and I'm going to lay these transfers over, I did want there to be a shiny background. I didn't want to place them on a cup that I had sanded. I wanted the coat to be smooth. So I do end up going back in with another layer here between 20 and 25 milliliters, especially on the 16-ounce plump of Counterculture's medium viscosity. So I'm going to apply this coat. I'm going to use my torch to pop any bubbles, and then I'm going to let this coat dry for about 6 to 8 hours before I'm going to go in and start applying these cool little transfers that I can't wait to show y'all. Okay y'all, so these transfers are from Southern Belle Glitter, and they are actually rub-on transfers, and they come in big sheets of, I believe, 13 by 18. I'm going to go ahead and say, if you're watching this video on the day that it comes out, they are out of stock right now, so I apologize, but she has restocks coming soon, so y'all be patient because these are so worth it. So Cindy had reached out to me and asked me if I wanted to try these, and of course, absolutely I did. And she had several different patterns to choose from. Of course, I wanted to try the Leopard. And they come in these big sheets, but you can just cut them up. They do have a backing on them, but they're not sticky on the back. You can see, like, you can move it around the cup a little bit before you decide exactly where it's going to go. And then you just place it on there, and it comes with this great little stick. And you basically just rub the transfer right onto the epoxy on the cup. So you're not going to be able to move these once they're on there. So I do want to say that because somebody had asked that in a live that I was doing in my Facebook group. They're thin enough that I don't think you're going to be able to move them, especially if they're on epoxy. I think Cindy had said sometimes if you put them over paint, you can move them, but once they're placed on epoxy, you're really not going to be able to move them. but they're so easy to apply. And so I kind of started at the center and worked my way out. So if there were any air bubbles, it kind of pushed the air bubbles out as I was working my way through. And then basically you just take the top part of it and you're going to pull it back. And as I'm pulling it back, I just kind of work it with my little stick here just to make sure that it's firmly applied, especially on the edges. I wanted to make sure that it wasn't going to peel up or anything. And you can see, like, there it is. And so it gives you more coverage than a water slide. So that's kind of what it reminds me of, except you get better coverage. So you can put them on different color backgrounds where, you know, a water slide is predominantly going to have to go on a lighter color. These can go on any color. So I decided to take this big brush stroke pattern and kind of make it the focal point of the cup. And then I'm going to take these little brush strokes and I'm going to kind of apply them in just a random pattern. I really did not have, you know, you can see I've kind of got them laid out here of kind of how I want them, but I just kind of went with it. So I didn't want one, you know, I didn't want the same color side by side. So I just started working my way around until I had all these little brush strokes. I just thought they were so fun and they were so easy to apply. So I'll kind of just let y'all watch me work my way around the cup. You basically are just going to do the same thing. Like this little wooden stick here is the perfect little tool. It takes like no time at all to press them down. I probably was a little extra careful just because this was kind of my first try at these. I definitely wanted to be a little more careful than normal with them, but they were so easy to apply. And I will link these in the description box below. And I also have a discount code, so you guys make sure you check out the link and the code in the box below the video. And even though they're out of stock right now, you can still see that this is the Wild at Heart collection. I fell in love with these. These 3 sheets were just beautiful. She also has different pattern sets. So there's flowers, there's some cactus, like she's got different things that you can choose from. She also sent me these cool ones that are a little bit larger, that are these magnolia leaves and cotton, and so they're so fun. So you guys make sure to check it out. I wasn't sure how they were gonna work, but once I started applying them on the cup, I was like, oh my goodness, these things are awesome, y'all. And then once I've gotten them placed all the way around the cup, you can take your craft knife and or a needle, and just like you would on a vinyl wrap, if you have any little places that are air bubbles, you basically can just touch that and press it with your finger and it'll wipe right out. I really didn't have that many. There was just a couple of little places that had just like a little tiny air bubble, and literally that's all I had to do was take my craft knife, poke it in there, and it was ready to go. And I did not seal these or anything, y'all, so I don't know if that may be a normal thing, but like they were adhered so well, I did not have to seal them with anything. So I just went right into my next layer of epoxy, and I'm gonna use about 25 milliliters here of Counterculture's medium viscosity. Y'all know that this is like my go-to epoxy as of late. So I do use this, and then I'm gonna use my torch to pop any bubbles. I'm gonna let this coat dry for about 6 hours, and then I'm gonna go in to sand a little bit more. I do sand, and then I'm gonna add my decal. And in the same live where I was kind of playing around with these transfers, Cindy from Southern Belle Glitter was on there, and somebody asked if you could apply vinyl right on top of the transfers, and we weren't really sure. I thought I would probably put a layer of epoxy on it, just because if you make a mistake and you want to pull it off, you're probably not going to be able to pull it off that transfer. But she actually tried it because we were afraid maybe your transfer tape would stick, but her transfer tape did not stick. So she said that it is a possibility just to go ahead and apply your, if you have a decal that you want to put on, layer on top of the transfers, you can do that. I am just kind of always on the safe side, so I went ahead and applied a layer of epoxy before I'm going to go in and apply my vinyl decal. And then I am just going to let this coat dry for about six hours or so, because I am going to sand a little bit more and then apply my decal here. And I'm going to use a decal from BearTrendz DigiDesigns. I just love all of her SVGs. This one was a Have Courage and Be Kind. And you can see, when you see the final cup, you're going to see that I tried several different variations, y'all, of different color vinyls. And none of them were showing up like I wanted to. I ended up going in with a black, and I didn't, on the top, and I didn't like that, and the black on the bottom, I didn't like that. So I do end up changing a little bit of the color here, just because I wanted it to stand out a little bit more than it did with these colors. And I use a white opal and then a pink from the Vinyl Cottage. And I will link those in the description box below, the colors that I use in the final. They're the opals, and one of them's a pink and one of them's a white. So I will link those for y'all. And I will link the exact measurements in the description box below. This BearTrendz DigiDesigns from Etsy. I think it's printed out at 2.6 by 2.8, just so it would fit right into the little brush strokes that was in the background. And then you'll see here in a minute, I am going to change the color to the white opal, and I will link those for you as well. And I'm just going to apply this, and then I go right into my next layer of epoxy. And I am going to use between 20 and 25 milliliters of Counterculture's medium viscosity artist resin. You can see I've changed the vinyl now, just where it stood out a little bit more where you could read the decal. And I'm going to apply this resin. I'm going to use my torch to pop any bubbles, and then we have our final design. So I hope that you guys enjoy this tutorial. I just wanted to show you these rub-on transfers. They were so awesome. I couldn't wait to share them with everybody. Please be patient if you're watching this tomorrow. I know she has restocks coming, and they are so worth it. Just the coverage that you get. I just think they turned out so cool and so pretty, and I can't wait for y'all to see others. She's got leopard prints that are individually that you can apply, and just all kinds of fun, cool things. So y'all make sure to go join my Dixie Darlins Tumblers Facebook group. We're actually doing a giveaway Sunday night in my live. Counterculture was kind enough to donate a whole bundle of kind of my favorite things. So y'all make sure that you go like and subscribe to Counterculture's Facebook group, their artist support Facebook group. Join Dixie Darlins Tumblers, subscribe to my YouTube channel, and then comment below in one of the posts. There's going to be one on Instagram and one on Facebook, so you can comment on either one of those, and we're going to randomly pick winners Sunday night live on Instagram and live on Facebook. So, and then please share your creations as always in my Dixie Darlins Tumblers. I love to see what you guys create. And so just go like, share, subscribe, all that fun, crazy stuff. Thank y'all so much for watching, and I hope you enjoy it.